Hello there, fellow cultists. This is DM Nell, and I'm back with another episode of Shadow Talk. And I believe this is episode number 126. And today I'm going to be covering the Demon Lord's Companion. But before I get into this, I do have a little bit of news from the Schwalb Entertainment Camp. And I believe this is a message that came from the Weird Wizard Facebook page. Could have been Twitter, could have been both, could have been Facebook. Did I say Facebook? Yeah, I think I said Facebook. Could have been the Shadow of the Demon Lord Facebook. I'm not really sure where it came from, but it did come from Mr. Schwalb himself. And he is now looking at a Weird Wizard launch for Kickstarter in August. There's no date. Could be late August, could be mid-August, could be early August. We don't know. But he is now looking at an August date. So as of today, I believe that is still correct. But I could be wrong. So at any rate, it sounds like there's some movement on this. He has recently sent out some additional playtest material, which I believe he said would be the last playtest material that would be sent out. But you can find all that in the Weird Wizard Facebook page and get the updates there. So I just wanted to touch on that briefly before jumping into the main topic of today's video, which is the Demon Lord's Companion. So why this video? Why this supplement? Well, first of all, somebody asked me to do it. And second of all, I've not really dedicated a video to this. Now, I have talked about it in other videos. I've actually delved into it in other videos, but not really spent an entire video just talking up the Demon Lord's Companion. So I wanted to do that and just add that to the catalog of videos that I have for Shadow of the Demon Lord supplements, because this is probably the number 2 supplement. Of all of the Shadow of the Demon Lord products, this is probably the number 2 most important product to pick up after the core rulebook. And the reason for that, Mr. Schwalb said himself in various interviews, and that is that the Demon Lord's Companion is essentially the material that would have been in the core rulebook had the core rulebook had a larger page count. Unfortunately, the page count was constrained for the core rulebook, and so some things had to be cut. And the things that didn't make the core rulebook cut ended up in Demon Lord's Companion. So this is, for all intents and purposes, core rules material that really should have been in the core rulebook, but just couldn't be due to space reasons. So that makes this the number 2 most important Demon Lord book, and in my estimation, it should be the second purchase that you make after the core rulebook, and it is an essential purchase, particularly if you're going to be the game master. So we'll get into the reasons why as we page through the book. So let's jump in, shall we? Okay, so of course, we have all of the credits here. Robert Schwalb doing all the heavy lifting, Chris Sims doing the editing, proofreading, Nat Webb, art direction, graphic design, Hal Mangold, cover illustration, Ivan Dixon, interior illustrations, Ivan Dixon, Jack Kaiser, and Brent Martin. A lot of those names are familiar. And then there's a bunch of credits to, I would assume, would be playtesters. So, yeah, all that on the initial page there. So then we have the table of contents, and then we get into the actual book. The actual book has the introduction, and here again he reiterates that this is material that would have been in the core rulebook if it had space, if space had allowed. All right, so the first chapter is ancestries, and the first section of the first chapter has to do with story complications. So story complications are an interesting part of the rules that I've not actually added to any of my Shadow of the Demon Lord games yet. The reason for that is because there's not a whole lot of benefit for the player characters to have the story complications. They add complexity to a character, they add role-playing dimensions to the character, but they also have mechanical detriments to the character, and making it not exactly something that players are going to jump up and down wanting to or fighting for this to be added to the game. So as an example, we have the addicted story complication. Your addiction has power over you to the point that you must feed it to survive. The GM decides what you're addicted to, choosing something that costs you no more than 1 copper piece per day to maintain, which would be booze, a common drug, or tobacco. So the addicted game mechanics state that when you complete a rest without having fed your addiction at least once during the previous day, you must get a success on a strength challenge roll with 1 Bane, plus 1 Bane for every day that you've gone without after the first, or become fatigued. If you're already fatigued in this way, increase the number of Banes from being fatigued by 1. After 5 consecutive successes, you lose this story complication. So you can shake the addiction after 5 consecutive successes, which is pretty generous. Most addictions take more than 5 days to shake, but for purposes of this role-playing game, it only takes 5 consecutive successes to get you through the addiction. However, if you fail, then you become fatigued, which is not great. And what is fatigued here? Looking at my handy dandy GM screen. A fatigued creature makes all attack rolls and challenge rolls with 1 Bane. That sucks. So that's the addicted story complication. Then we have several more here, and I don't want to go through each one. I'm just going to kind of do a quick overview. So then you have the cursed. You have a curse that prevents you from performing certain activities chosen by the DM. The curse can't be anything that would directly harm you, your property, or your loved ones. Examples include sex, drinking alcohol, or eating meat. So there's a couple, there's the mechanics behind it there. Then you also have this fated to live. When you make a fate roll, roll an extra d6 and use the highest number that you roll. So being cursed means that death isn't going to be letting you out easy. Then we got doomed. The doomed story complication. Death dogs your steps, hounding you until you find your grave, or the grave. You see omens of your doom regularly, so you keep moving, hoping your time has yet to run out. Haunted. Haunted. A spirit haunts you, following you wherever you go and making it impossible for you to have a normal life. The spirit reveals its displeasure by breaking or stealing small objects, causing room temperatures to plunge, knocking on walls, shrieking, or equally frightening acts. You have the mad story complication. A traumatic event left you unhinged. The GM gives you 1 quirk that reflects your unstable personality. Or you could be maimed. A grievous injury left you terribly scarred. This maiming makes life difficult, but gives you the will to persevere. Then you have the plagued complication. You carry an incurable disease that might one day kill you. And then possessed. An evil presence lurks inside you, haunting your dreams and goading you to commit horrific acts of evil. The presence has become a cancer to your soul, but you fight it every day, searching for a way to rid yourself of its darkness. So, again, not great things, but if you're looking for ways to give your characters some depth and maybe a purpose. So, for example, if you're cursed, your purpose would probably include finding a way to get rid of the curse. If you're plagued, same way. Find some way to get rid of the disease. If you're possessed, find some way to get rid of the evil presence. So it gives your characters purpose, but it kind of also makes them vulnerable in the ways indicated. So anyway, take that for what you will. Add it to your game or not. I have not, as I mentioned, as of yet, but I would like to try a game with those. I might pitch that to my players next time I run a Shadow of the Demon Lord campaign. Okay, then we get into a couple of new ancestries. So this book starts off with the fawn ancestry. So what is the fawn? The fawn is a creature that is a fey creature. Elves and other fair folk withdrew from the mortal world long ago, but in their wake left behind humans altered by contact with the immortal fairy. Chance encounters with the capricious and mercurial fae shattered lives with madness, broken hearts, and in some cases offspring. Centuries later, the influence of fairies can still be felt in the deep wilderness where doorways yet stand to the hidden kingdoms of Alfheim, Nilfheim, and other magical realms populated by immortals. In such fey-touched places dwell fey-touched creatures, some true descendants, others warped by magic, known as fawns. All right, so fawns are essentially half human, half some other animal, typically a satyr, something like that. I think it doesn't state specifically that you have to be like that, but it does state that you have cloven hooves and small horns sprouting from your forehead. So, fawn features combine the traits of human and animal, reminiscent of both, but belonging truly to neither. So most fawns stand 4.5 feet tall, weigh about 110 pounds. Although they have the same range of coloration as humans do, fawns tend to be swarthy with brown or black fur from their navels down to their hooves. Then their horns grow out a few inches. Though a few fawns have horns that can spiral a foot or more in length. All right, so it goes into the mixed heritage, the guarded curiosity, and the common names for fawns. Then we have creating a fawn. So you've got attributes starting at strength 10, agility 11, intellect 11, and will 9. You get a +1 to your intellect score. You get a defense equal to agility, as you do. Health equal to your strength, as you do. And the healing rate is 1/4 your health, rounded down, as you do. Size can be a half or 1. Your speed is 12, so you got a little bit extra pep there. Then you also have the ability to speak the common tongue and Elvish. And you have the quick step trait, which is when you use an action, you can move 1 yard before or after the action, provided your speed is greater than 0. And then you have the shadow sight trait, which enables you to see in areas obscured by shadows as if those areas were lit. And then finally, you have the skittish trait. You make will challenge rolls with 1 pain. And then at 4th level, an expert spawn gets a +5 to their health, and then they either learn a spell or they gain the fight or flight attribute or trait, which is when you are frightened, you gain a +2 bonus to your speed, and you make challenge rolls to resist attacks with 2 boons. Also, creatures make attack rolls against you with 1 bane. Then, of course, where'd that come from? Of course, we have the tables to flesh them out. So you have fawn age, fawn build, fawn appearance, fawn background, and fawn personality tables. So that's it for the fawn. The second ancestry in the book is halfling. So the halfling is pretty much what you would expect a halfling to be. Essentially, halflings look like small humans. They have appreciation for 5 food. They got a heavy frame, a paunch that hangs over their belly. Halflings always dress their best, keep their clothes clean, comb their hair, and wash their skin. So that's pretty stereotypical halfling. They lead simple lives, but they have pragmatic courage, and then they have some common names listed here. Then you got the creating a halfling. Starting attributes scores strength 9, agility 11, intellect 10, and will 11. Perception, defense, and health are all pretty much what you would expect, as is healing rate. Your size is 1/2, and they have a speed of 8, so they're not quite as fast as your size 1 creatures. Their languages and professions, they speak the common tongue. And then they have the good fortune trait. Whenever a creature within short range rolls a 1 on any die, you can use a triggered action to discard the roll and let the creature roll the die again. This kind of goes along with the fact that the kind of trope that halflings are lucky. Then uncommon courage. When you become frightened, you can use a triggered action to make a will challenge roll. On a success, you remove the affliction. And then a level 4 halfling, gain +4 to health. They either learn a spell or gain the Rising Fortunes trait. Whenever you roll a 6 on the die for a boon, you make all attack rolls and challenge rolls with 1 boon for the round. So that's pretty nice. Then you got the halfling age table, halfling build table, halfling appearance table, halfling background table, halfling religion table, and halfling personality table. And that's it for the Ancestries chapter. Then we got the Path chapter. Okay, so in this chapter, you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 different paths listed in this book. You can see why this is an important book. I mean, there were a ton of paths in the core rule book. This adds, 17? Maybe even more. I don't think I counted these down here. So more. So good grief. That's a lot of shit. So let's get into some of these. So we have the expert paths. You've got an elementalist. So this is a character class that deals with elemental magic. So of course you have to learn magic, which at level 3 you would as an elementalist. If you hadn't already selected a novice path that included magic, you get it automatically at 3rd level. Then you have an elemental attunement. Then at 6th level you gain a couple points of health, you gain a tradition or spell, and then you have forceful attunement, which helps you be a little bit better in the 4 different elements there. I can't read through all of this stuff because it just take way too long, and I don't want this video to be 17 hours. So then we have the level 9 Master Elementalist, which also gains health and power, learn a tradition or spell, and then they gain the Superior Attunement trait. Then we have the Mountebank. Scoundrels, confluence artists, charlatans, and tricksters. Mountebanks are deception and trickery, use deception and trickery to make their way through the world. Central to their talents is a deep understanding of what people want and what they'll do to acquire what they want. After a few probing questions, a mountebank discovers a victim's wishes and then weaves a deception to manipulate this person. All right, so that's the mountebank, and as with all expert, you get a level 3 write-up, a level 6 write-up, and a level 9 write-up, which includes things such as inveigle, mislead, quick reflexes, cunning betrayal, and confounding assault. All right, then we have a mystic. So whether they realize it or not, all mystics walk a path to enlightenment, a transcendence of the physical into the realms of the spiritual. Mystics discover within themselves a wellspring of power and energy that comes from the soul, called a ki. By harnessing this energy, mystics push past their limitations, moving faster, healing their own injuries, and fighting with preternatural speed and strength. All right, so it sounds kind of like a monk, yeah, I would say. What do we have here? We have a level 3 mystic, a level 6 mystic, and a level 9 mystic. Gaining such things as enlightened defense, iron fist, key focus, and key strike. Then at 6th level, you get Healing Trance and Key Evasion. And then at 9th level, you get Instinctive Focus, and that's it. All right, then we have the Psychic. So Psychics belong to a rare class of individuals born with the ability to harness the powers of the mind. This ability allows Psychics to use magic without the props and mystic phrases required by other magicians. All Psychics need to do is to focus the mind, exerting will and imagination. Although Psychics are uncommon, members of any ancestry might become one. And then it goes on to state that most Psychics are magicians. So this is, and this kind of gets into a problem I have with including psionics into a fantasy game. Most fantasy games tend to treat psionics as just an extension of magic, which, okay, that's one way to do it, but I don't know. I for whatever reason, there's just something in my head that wants to treat psychic powers differently than magic. It's the same thing, the same little voice in my head that wants to separate arcane magic from divine magic and have them all separate with their own little mechanics. But for sake of simplicity, I understand why RPGs incorporate all these things into one magic system, and that's what we have here. So you got your psychic, expert class, and as such, you get things such as the psychic power, psychic defense, and psychic spell. You gain psychic scream and divided mind. So all that sounds interesting. Then you have a sage. Sages are scholars, historians, intellectuals, and teachers. They amass information related to their fields of expertise, seeking to know everything about those subjects. Most sages live their lives surrounded by heaps of books and scrolls, but some venture out and find more knowledge in the world. Sages who brave the unknown find they often have the wit to ascertain the best solution to whatever problem they encounter. All right, so the third level sage gets to decipher esoteric knowledge and learned traits. Then the 6th level sage gains ear for language and outwit. Master Sage gains always learning and wise guidance. So sounds more like a support character than a frontline character. Okay. And now we have the shaman. Shamans, or shamans, however you choose to pronounce that, stand on the border between the living and the dead, able to pierce reality's veil and behold disembodied spirits trapped between them. Shamans also use magic to bargain with those spirits and gain their assistance. As part of their training, shamans call forth and bind a spirit from the underworld as a guide and aid. This spirit might be that of an ancestor, an animal, or something else. Normally, such a spirit follows the shaman, unseen and unnoticed, but when the shaman wills it, the spirit manifests and lends its capabilities to its master. All right, so that sounds kind of cool. So we got a level 3 shaman with bound spirit, and we have a looks like it's a spell, bound spirit. Then we have a bound spirit stat block. A level 6 shaman has a durable spirit, which builds on the bound spirit, and then level 9 has protector spirit, which again builds on the bound spirit. Next up, we have the swashbuckler. So swashbucklers bring keen wit, daring, and superior fighting skills to any contest and use these capabilities to great effect when squaring off against foes. What sets swashbucklers apart from others who fight are the tricks and maneuvers they have at their disposal. A swashbuckler can move in such a way as to foil an opponent's attack while creating an opening in the same foe's defense. Quick slashes and strikes with a weapon drive an enemy back, while swashbuckler twists away, deftly avoiding the counter-strike. So if you want a class that is managing the battlefield, moving around a lot, that's your swashbuckler. So the what are the attributes we have here? We have combat feint, nimble defense, charisma. Then we have 6th level maneuvering strike and tumbling advance. Then at 9th level we have devious strike and unassailable defense. All right, then we have the warden. So nature spirit individuals who have grown or shown great respect and care for the natural world to be their champions, investing in them the power to directly channel the magic that permeates the land. Warden, as they are known, become avatars of nature's fury. Many wardens live in remote places, deep inside primeval forests, atop highest mountains, or in the center of vast steppes. Such wardens spend years in their chosen home, tending the land and guarding it from despoilers. When the shadow falls, wardens stir from their realms to take the fight to the world's enemies. All right, so we have such traits as Warden Magic, Binding Strike, so Warden Magic, we have 2 spells, Binding Strike and Ward the Land. Those are 2 Warden-specific spells. Then level 6 Warden, Improved Warden Magic. Then level 9, we've got Greater Warden Magic, and that is learning the Guardian of Nature spell. Okay. That's it for the expert paths. Now we get into the various master paths. I'm going to have to go through these a little bit more quickly, so forgive me for the high-level overview, but we have an Alchemist, which I think everybody knows what an Alchemist is, a Blackguard. Blackguards succumb to temptation, embracing the power of darkness, or power that darkness offers, surrendering the soul to its corrupting influence. Then we got a Corsair. Nimble combatants that rely as much on their wits as they do weapons. Corsairs master trickery to confound their opponents. Then we have Demonologist. Demonologists look into places the sane do not dare. Into the void these unhinged people, drawn by promises of power, answers to the great mysteries, and escape perhaps from the end of all things. Your attributes include Demon Bound, so you're binding a medium demon, Demon Corruption. All right, so that's Demonologist. Then we have Entropist. The Death Tradition is the magic of the grave, the cold of the underworld, and its spells exist to abbreviate the lives of the living. So that's your Entropist. Level 7 gets you Speed to the Grave, and Deathly Presence at level 10. All right, then we got the Martial Artist path, and looks like you got Fist of Fury, Martial Arts, more martial arts, dodge missiles, drunken fighting. And these are talents that you choose from: dodge missiles, drunken fighting, flying kick, ground fighting, killer palm, roundhouse kick, staggering strike, stunning strike, throw, and whirlwind of attacks or strikes. Whirlwind of strikes. All right, then next up is the medium, which looks like it deals with spirits. Mindbender. Psychokinetic, that kind of goes along with the psionics expert path. Reaver, Sapper, and Seeker. And I believe that's it. Yep. Okay, then we have the equipment chapter. So this is one of my favorite chapters because it gives information on alchemical items. So it's things like the Allflower water, bottled smoke, dragonfire. So dragonfire, if you watch Game of Thrones, is kind of, I forget what they call it in Game of Thrones, but it's essentially the fire that they use to repel an attack at Kingsport. That's what Dragonfire is. Now, I don't think this version of Dragonfire is quite that powerful, but who knows? Maybe if you make enough of it, it is. Reagent, Royal Water, Superior Glue, and Water of Life. Then we have a category of forbidden items, and a zine, which is really bizarre. This is a segmented worm that you shove up your ass, and you can have these weird whips come out of your palm, which is, again, kind of bizarre. But hey, at least you always have a weapon, right? Okay. Other forbidden items include distilled maiden's tears, frenzy, lotus petals, love potion, lust, and revenant's head, and a unicorn horn. The next section is marvels of engineering. So this is kind of techno science here. So we got blunderbuss, bomb, clock or pocket watch, construct, flare, smoke bomb, and timer. And then we get into potions. So here we have an agility potion, courage potion, cunning, might, mimic, and phasing. Shrinking, water breathing, weightlessness, and wings. Now, one thing that's interesting on a couple of pages here in this section, you have this sidebar on creating equipment, and then you have a sidebar here on inventions, and giving you some guidelines. So if you want to create a potion, or you want to create a marvel of engineering, it kind of gives you guidelines on how to do that here. Okay, then you have vehicles. So it has a generic vehicle stat block, and kind of describes what all the different categories mean. And then we have rules on how to operate, and kind of run an encounter, including vehicles. Then you've got special situations that would occur while you're in a vehicle. And then finally, you have sample vehicles. So you got your airship, your cart, locomotive engine, river boat or barge, sailing ship, and wagon. And those are the various types of you can so there are 6 new traditions in this book, which include alchemy. These are intellect. Wow, what am I thinking? Okay. Rewind. Let me get some caffeine pouring back into my brains. Okay. These are the traditions. Alchemy, demonology, and telepathy fall under intellect, and then death, spiritualism, and telekinesis fall under will. So your alchemy allows you to basically be that guy that creates all the potions and the weird alchemy objects. So you have spells. I don't love having spells be the path to alchemy. I would prefer alchemy be a little bit more grounded in, science rather than magic. But whatever, it works this way as well. So you got spells of first rank 1 to rank 5 here. At rank 5, you can make a Philosopher's Stone. So how cool is that? You know how well that worked out for Voldemort. Okay, then we have the death tradition. So you got the Demon Lord head here, which means that it's a dark magic tradition. Death exists to end life and speed souls to the underworld. Let's see, certain death spells protect against death or have non-lethal effects, but most are ways to kill, from infecting creatures with a rotting disease to blasts of poisonous mists. So lots of cool names here. I wish I could take the time to go through every spell, but unfortunately that would just extend this video way too long. But you do have things like Poisonous breath, leprous touch, death fog, stop the heart, which would be your rank 5 spell. Makes sense. All right, then we have the demonology tradition. Pretty much what you would expect. You deal with demons. So let's see what kind of spells we have here. Demonic guidance, compel demon, favor the demon lord, whispers from the void, shadow of the void, call demon, shadow the demon lord. Hey, we have a spell named after the game itself, so that's cool. And of course, shadow the demon lord is the the rank 5 spell for that tradition. All right, then we have spiritualism. Spiritualism magic calls forth spirits from the underworld to gain their wisdom and power. The tradition can be discovered through training and research, but many use spiritualism magic through a lifelong connection to the underworld. Such individuals have seen and communicated with spirits in the past. So I see dead people. You got such spells such as bear spirit, spirit of torment, seance, hateful spirits, and so on. Then you got telekinesis. So telekinesis is pretty much what you would imagine. You move stuff around with your mind. So you have things like forceful push, crush, telekinetic shield, levitate, force barrier, force wave, force bubble. All the forces are there. All right, then we have telepathy. So again, another psychic power or psychic tradition. This one dealing more with sensing thoughts and reading people's minds rather than interacting with matter. You're interacting with somebody else's mind. You have things such as send a message, mental static, mind stab, emotional barrage, mind blast, and so on. Okay, then we have incantations. An incantation is a written spell imbued with the power that allows anyone who reads it to produce its magical effect. So incantations it's not a tradition, it's actually, there's incantations in the core rulebook as well, but this actually, in the core rulebook, it tells you how you can buy incantations of certain spell ranks. This actually has incantations that are unique to incantations. So you have things such as corpse sight, ley line, animal spy, destructive rune, prophecy, recall soul, entrapping pentagram, secrets of the land, and atonement. And of course, each of these belong to a tradition, which is noted on the side. All right, next we have another cool section and addition to this book, which is Game Master's tools. And here we have things that the Game Master can use to enhance their games. It starts off with magical places. So if you want to have a haunted house, it gives you some guidance on how to do that. If you want to utilize null magic, it tells you how to do that. A void shoal. So if you want to have the void starting to make an intrusion into the world, and what effect does that have? So a void shoal table will give you that information. And then we have relics. So this adds to the relics that were found in the core rulebook, and the core rulebook didn't have many. So this is a welcome addition. You have the Blood Moon Medallion, Flying Carpet, Gnarled Staff of the Black Wood, Underworld Call, and Widdershins. And then we get into the Bestiary. So the Bestiary includes a species of spider people called the Arachni. They're difficulty 10. The Bestia, which are kind of like looks like a gorilla people, they are difficulty 50. Then we got brownies, which are these little fey creatures that like to ride owls, apparently. Difficulty 10. We have a centaur, which is difficulty of 5. Then we have mogs. Mogs are kind of look like frog creatures. One can still see traces of the human from which the mogs claim the Mog's claim to send for a Mog has a bipedal form, long slender fingers, and human-like facial features. So yeah, kind of looks like a frogman to me. And here's a stat block for the Mog. Then we have the rocks, which are pretty much your legendary monster. The rock is essentially a giant eagle. Specters, another form of undead. This is difficulty 250. Spider Assassin, difficulty 1. Then we have the Slime Brute, so it's kind of reminiscent of the Man Thing. Slime Brute is difficulty 100. It's got, looks like 3 different attacks. Oh, the heck, is that it? I believe that's it. All right, we've reached the end of the Demon Lord's Companion. Of course, there's the index at the end there, which is always nice to have. And then we have an ad for the Tales of the Demon Lord and the back cover. All right, so that concludes the supplement, Demon Lord's Companion. So I hope this was helpful. Again, somebody had asked if I would cover this in some detail. I wish I could have gone into greater detail. I'm not really sure I would be able to. My voice probably would not hold out that long. And you probably don't want me droning along that long anyway. So anyway, that's it. I am done with that, and appreciate, as always, all you subscribers and those of you that take the time out to watch my videos. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Trying to spread the word, so do your part and spread the word as well. Again, keep an eye out for the the Weird Wizard, not the White Wizard, the Weird Wizard Kickstarter, which hopefully will be starting here in about a month. And let's keep Schwalbe Entertainment out there as a viable alternative to the other companies producing 5e content, which in my opinion is way too much. The market is oversaturated in 5e content. This is a great alternative. So that's all I got. I'm out of here. Hail to the Demon Lord. Yeah, I thought I figured out how to turn this damn thing off, but